on variety. Variety, or differences in what you do and your activities, is often described as the spice of life. In other words, it's very important for many people, and I'm one of them, to have variations quite quickly through one's day, through one's months, through one's years. Human beings quite quickly become bored, stale, lose interest if there isn't variety. And so I've always found that in my typical day, for example, if I know that I'm going to be doing the whole thing, a single thing right through the day, that I won't be stopping for a cup of tea or coffee here, I won't be going for a walk there, I won't be listening to a bit of music later on, all the things which I punctuate and vary my life with, then very soon I'd get tired, possibly bored, and life would begin to lose its spice. That applies in the day, and it's very important for me to do that. It also applies in the week, particularly during COVID lockdown. There were weeks and weeks and weeks when, apart from going out for a walk in our garden, there was very little variety in one's activities. Previously, I'd been going into the city and visit friends and meet people and maybe to go out for a meal occasionally. That all ended. And so one of the big costs of COVID was obviously the deadening, to a large extent, of variety. All you had, really, was what came in on the internet or what came in on television or whatever media you used, where you could travel around the world and watch films and listen to music. But that kind of variety is useful and helpful, but it's different from the kind of variety in which you actually do different things, have hobbies or make things or whatever. So I've tried through my life to enrich it with different kinds of activities, and that's why hobbies and interests are so important. Some of them themselves can become stale. I find now, certainly, reading books, serious books, intense books, I enjoy them very much, but I find now I can read a chapter or a couple of chapters, and then in a day of a book I'm reading, and then I put it down and continue with it the next day. If I thought, well, I'm going to spend the whole day reading this book, occasionally it's such a good book you want to do that, but normally your energy and your interest and your concentration, because a lot of it is about concentration. Most of us have a fairly short concentration span. Psychological studies have suggested that, for example, students listening to lectures, their concentration span, if you're lucky, is about 40 minutes. And so when I gave lectures, I always tried to stop after 40 minutes and give them a break of 3 or 4 minutes. And then, with a bit of variety, i.e. rest, they could come back and enjoy the rest of the lecture. If I lectured for an hour, I could see some of them beginning to nod off or whatever it was. So in every form of activity, and it also means variety in other aspects. For example, in my writing, it has to be varied. Sometimes the sentences are long, sometimes short, sometimes the paragraphs are of different lengths, the chapters are of different lengths. That doesn't matter. Indeed, it's probably a good thing, because if each bit is identical, very soon it can become monotonous. So variety certainly is the spice of life, and I've been extremely fortunate being able to choose what I want to do. For many people, of course, particularly in the past, they've had jobs which are boring, intense, and without variety, working in a factory, down a mine, out in the fields in the mountains of Nepal. The variety is limited, and so we now live in an age where there's a good deal of personal leisure in the West, and we can enjoy the pleasures and benefits of variety.